And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. For her sins have reached into heaven, and God hath remembered her iniquities. Reward her even if she has rewarded you, and double unto her according to her works. And the cup which she filled to her double.
All right, first and foremost, I'd like to give all honor and glory to the Most High God, YHWH, in the name of His only begotten Son, YHWH. Let me start off with a happy new moon, or a Shar Kadash in the Hebrew. A happy new moon. And this is our new moon class. We're going to go into the law before Moses, but let's go into what it is today is about first. We're going to go to the book of Numbers, chapter 10 and verse 10 in the KJV, right? So let's go to Numbers, chapter 10, and select chapter 9, verse 10. Also in the day of your gladness, and in your solemn days, and in the beginning of your months, ye shall blow with trumpets over your burnt offerings, and offer sacrifice of your peace offerings, that they may be to you for a memorial before your power. I am YHWH, your power. So we read it at the beginning of your months, right? Now, how does one determine your month, or your this month, right? Beginning of your months, right? Well, let's go into a more modern translation. See, this is why modern translations are good as well, because it also helps you out here, right? Let's go to Numbers 10 and 10 in the Good News Bible, right? Numbers chapter 10, verse 10 in the Good News Bible. Also, on joyful occasions, at your new moon festivals and your religious festivals, you are to blow the trumpets when you are present, when you present your burnt offerings and your fellowship offerings. Then I will help you. I am YHWH, your power. So, right? So this is something we got to do new month, and it's something that we at YHWH's Witnesses kind of been slacking. Well, we've been slacking on, and that's not fine. So we're going to start keeping that, starting with this moon, this new moon. So let's get into our class now that we know why we're gathered here. Let's go to the book of Malachi, chapter 3 and verse 6, right? And why are we going there before? And if it's talking about the law before Moses existed, because we call it the Mosaic Law, well, it is to prove a point, right? The book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 6. I am YHWH, I change not. Therefore, ye sons of Jacob are not confused. So we see that the Most High God, He's, you know what I'm saying, He doesn't change. So from beginning to now, right? From the beginning to now, He has always been with us, right? So let's go into the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 40, as to why we're taking the approach we are, right? Let's go into 1 Corinthians chapter 14 and verse 40. Let all things be done decently and in order, right? So let all things be done decently and in order. So we have to take a certain approach, right? So we're going to go now into the book of Psalms, chapter 119, verse 1. And for this, the law before Moses, I sure do take a lot of, what they would call detours, right? But we're precepting, right? We're building up the foundation and letting you know why we do certain things. The book of Psalms, chapter 119, verse 1. Blessed are the undefiled in the way who walk in the way of YHWH, right? Let's go into the book of let's go into the book of Psalms 119 in the Strong's, right? Let's go to the book of Psalms chapter 119 in the Strong's. Psalm 119 in the Strong's, right? And we're going to look up the word way, right? And we're doing that, and then we're going to go do the same thing in Genesis 18:19. Right? What the law of the Lord. So blessed. So again, Aleph. Blessed are the undefiled in the way who walk in the law of YHWH. Let's go to way, right? The word way there is Darak, right, or direct in the Paleo. in the modern text is written, right? From Strong's H 1870, Direct, right? Or direct in the modern, right? From Strong's H 1869, a road as trodden figuratively, a course, a life or mode of action, often adverb along a way because of my conversion custom eastward, a journey, right? So the primary definition is way, road, distance, journey, manner. Primary road, way, path, journey, direction, manner, habit, or way of course of life of moral character, right? So now let's turn to the book of Genesis chapter 18, verse 19, right? Blessed are those that walk in the way of the Lord, right? Now we're getting into the book of Genesis, right? Genesis chapter 18 and verse 19, right? Y'all can see how highlighted this is, right? The book of Genesis chapter 18, verse 19 in the KJV. Where did you go? For I know him that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of Yahweh to do justice and judgment, that Yahweh may bring upon Abraham that which he hath spoken to him. Let's look at that word way now again in the book of Genesis, right? 18 and 19. So like it, brother. The word way there again, Strong's H 1870, right? And the way is the laws of the Lord, right? Who is that physical embodiment? We know YHWH, and we could precept that with John 14 and 6, right? And we're going to read it real fast because we always got to read as the scriptures have said, right? John 14 and verse 6. We have the incense burning from before sundown. Relax, brothers. John 14 and chapter 6. And Jesus saith unto him, or YHWH, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh to the Father but by me. Right? And what is he? The physical embodiment of the truth. Because we see the way in verse 1, in verse 142, the truth is the law of the Lord, right? And life, if we go through Baruch and all that, saying it's the laws of God, right? But let's focus on what this way is, right? So he followed the way, right? Back in Genesis 18 and 19, right? So now let's go into Genesis chapter 2, verses 1 through 3, right? Genesis chapter 2, verses 1 through 3. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished. So let me hit this little highlighter. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. And on the seventh day, God ended his work, which he had made, and rested on the seventh day from all his works, which he had made. And Yahweh blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work, which Yahweh had created and made. Right? So, right here, this is before Moses existed. This is the creation of earth. The Most High blessed the seventh day and gave it a day of rest, right? Now, we here at Yahweh's witnesses, we go by the lunar Shabbat, right? So every new moon, as it is today, marks a new moon 7 days after this, right? And we're gonna keep that day holy, right? Brothers find, brothers always find ways to keep the laws of God. But let's go to Exodus chapter 20, because what we just read was part of the Big Ten, right? Let's go to Exodus chapter 20, verses 8 through 11, right? Exodus chapter 20, verses 8 through 11, right? This is Exodus chapter 20, starting at verse 8. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Right, so we see that he sanctified it at the creation and foundation of the earth, and now we're seeing he's telling his servant Moses to keep the day holy, right? Verse 9. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of Yahweh, of thy power, in that thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy maidservant, nor thy maidservants, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days Yahweh made heaven and earth, the sea and all that all in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore Yahweh blessed the seventh day and hallowed it. Right, the Most High blessed the seventh day, and he Salakia, and he sanctified it. That's another way he blessed it, or hallowed it, means he sanctified it, separated the day. Right. Let's go into Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 3, right? Let's keep going and improving, right? In the law. We've seen it in the 10 commandments, but let's see it in the 613, right? Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 3, right? 6 days, right? 6 days shall work be done, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of rest, a holy convocation. So we're supposed to be gathering, brothers. But we're seeing the law, but we're pouring out the law before Moses came into play, right? Ye shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of Yahweh in all your dwellings, right? So we see what he's talking about, right? We see how Yahweh has blessed that day, right? Ah, now we're going to go into one of the more interesting, uh, one of the other laws that people should have known by now, right? This is Leviticus chapter 20 and verse 13, right? Thou shalt not kill. But let's see let's see how the scripture is given to us in the Hebrew, right? Because if the Most High is not schizophrenic, he commanded Joshua to kill anybody and everybody, right? And the inhabitants of the land of Canaan, right? Kill any and everybody, men, women, children, cattle, all that gotta go, right? So let's see what actually is being spoken of right there, right? On top of that, he says that he's going to kill the Ethiopians by their sword, right? Or the Cushites, because we understand that the children of Israel are scattered through the four corners of the earth, right? So he's going to kill the Cushites, the descendants of that man Cush, right? Let's go into the book of Exodus 20 and 13 in the Strongs, right? And we're looking at the word kill, ratazak, right? Ratazak. Strong's H7523, ratazak. To murder, slay or kill. To murder, slay. Whether it be Strong's primary, premeditated, secondary, accidental, tertiary, as avenger. Fourth, slayer, intentional, principal. Secondary to the primary definition, to be slain. Tertiary in the primary, to murder, assassinate, murder, assassin. The fourth one is the to be killed, right? Boom. So let's see what we mean by that, right? To kill. Let's go into the book of Genesis, chapter 4, and we're going to start at verse 1 all the way down to verse 12. Y'all remember a man by the name of Cain, right? Well, Cain did a thing, right? He did something. So let's see if the Most High had blessed him, right? Or what he did, right? Genesis chapter 4 from the top. And Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bore Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from Yahweh. She she again bore his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of sheep, and Cain was a tiller of the ground. And in the process of it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruits of the ground an offering unto Yahweh. And Abel he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof. And Yahweh had respect unto Abel and to his offerings, but unto Cain and his offering he had no respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. And Yahweh said unto Cain, Why art thou wroth, and why is thy countenance fallen? If thou doest well, shall not thou be accepted? If thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door. Remember that. Sin lieth at the door. What is sin? Transgression of the law. 1 John chapter 3, verse 4, right? Right? So sin lieth at the door. That's an interesting thing for the Most High to say unto Cain before the law was. and we should prove that, right? Let's go to First John chapter 3 and verse 4. And I know there are brothers that have read this and seen this, but we need to always bring back the basics so brothers understand what it is we're out here to do, right? The book of John chapter 3 verse 4. Whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law, right? So he told him he said that transgression of the law is at the door. It's close. It's nearby, right? Let's keep going. And unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. And Cain talked with Abel his brother. And it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother, and slew him. And Yahweh said unto Cain, where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? And he said, what is that hast thou done? And the voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. And now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth. Right? So he told him, for murdering his brother, he's going to be a fugitive and a vagabond, right? But not only that, let's go. Oh, Salakia. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 23, verse 9 and 13, because we saw the murder, but there are other laws lying in this very scripture. We're going to go back to Leviticus chapter 23, and we're going to read 9 through 13, right? Leviticus chapter 23, 9 through 13, right? So we can see what the words of the Lord are, right? Let's start at the book of Leviticus, chapter 9, through 13, right? And Yahweh spoke unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, when ye be come into the land which I give unto you, I shall reap the harvest thereof. Then shall ye bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest. So let's go back to Genesis chapter 4, right, and see what Cain did wrong, right? Because what does it say? Let's read the law again. And Yahweh spoke unto Moses, speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, when ye be come into the land which I give unto you, ye shall reap the harvest thereof, and thou shalt bring me a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest, right? So what did Cain do wrong? Let's see. We're going to start at verse 2. And she bore again his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. And in the process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought the fruit of the ground an offering unto Yahweh. So he brought whatever, right? He just brought a fruit, not the first fruits of it, right? But let's keep going. So he broke that commandment. And he shall wave the sheaf before Yahweh to be accepted for you on the morrow, right? Let's keep going. After the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it. And he shall offer that day, when ye of the wave of the sheep, a he lamb without blemish of the first year, for a burnt offering unto Yahweh. And the meat offering, Salakia. And the meat offering shall be 2/10 of a deal of flour mingled with oil, an offering made by fire unto Yahweh for a sweet savor. And the drink offering therefore shall be of wine of the fourth part of him, right? So now let's see what Cain did. Let's go with the rest of that, right? So let's go back to verse 2. And she again bore his brother Abel. And Abel was a keeper of sheep. But Cain was a tiller of the ground, and in the process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought the fruit of the ground an offering unto Yahweh. And Abel, he also brought the firstling of his flock and of the fat thereof, and Yahweh had respect unto Abel's offering. Right? So he told him that he didn't bring that Abel brought the better offering, right? He brought the firstling, and he brought it without blemish. I'm thinking if Yahweh had respect unto his what is it called? His offering, right? But let's keep going now, right? Let's go into the book of Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse verses 1 through 3. And this is one that I like to go over because a lot of brothers misuse, yes, a lot of brothers misuse this particular scripture, right? They love to say this one right here is they love to say that this one right here, they only read a partial part of the scripture, I should say. They only read a partial part when we should read the whole law, right? But again, that's not the point of this lesson. The point of the lesson is to show the law existing before Moses, Salaki. The law existing before Moses, right? This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, verses 1 through 3, right? And when Yahweh thy power shall bring into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and cast out many nations before thee. Now watch this: the Hittites, the Girgashites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. 7 nations, right? So there's 7 nations that we as the men of Israel cannot deal with, right? 7 nations, greater and mightier than thou. And when Yahweh thy power shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them, and thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Right? So we see he's saying these 7 nations that kill them, destroy them, show them no mercy, right? But let's go to verse 3. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. This is where they are. Every camp, every brother likes to start, and this is why we got to go beforehand, right? But select it. Verse 3. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. And they give you a reason why. For they shall turn away, verse 4, for they shall turn away thy son from following me, that he may serve other gods. So will the anger of Yahweh be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly. Right? So he tells you not to deal with them, not to make marriages with them, right? Not to make covenants. Now, let's go into the book of Genesis, first chapter 28 and verse 1. We're going to see how Abraham, 28, let's see how Isaac or Jacob, Isaac, Salakia. Let's see how Isaac felt, right? Let's go into what Isaac was talking about, right? The book of Genesis chapter 28 and verse 1. And Isaac called Jacob and blessed him and charged him and said unto him, thou shalt not take a wife of the daughters of Canaan, right? So Isaac gave him a Mosaic. Isaac gave Jacob a Mosaic law. He told him, don't take any of the women of the children of Canaan, right? Right. But let's see if that predates Isaac, right? Go to Genesis 24, right, 1 through 3. Let's see if Abraham had that same mind frame. The book of Genesis, chapter 24, from the top. And Abraham was old and well stricken in age, and Yahweh had blessed Abraham in all things. And Abraham said unto his eldest servant of his house, that ruled over all that he had, put, I pray thee, thy hand under thy thigh, and I will make thee swear by Yahweh, the power of heaven and the power of earth, that thou shalt not take a wife unto my son of the daughters of Canaan, whom I dwell. Right? So he gave him the same exact ruling, the same command. Abraham gave his servant that went to go find Isaac a wife, don't bring him back no Canaanites. What did Isaac do? Charge Jacob the same thing. What did Moses charge the children of Israel? The same thing, right? Same thing with us not being murderers, right? Or us bringing our sacrifices unto the Most High, right? Or keeping the Shabbat, right? So let's go to Leviticus chapter 18, verses 5 through 7, right? Let's go to Leviticus. These are the morality laws, right? Let's go to Leviticus chapter 18 and verse and verse 5 through 7, right? This is the book of Genesis chapter 18, verses 5 through 7. Ye shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, which if a man do, he shall live in them. I am Yahweh, right? Verse 6. None of you shall approach to any that is near kin to him, right? Your brother, your sister, your cousin, right? You can't marry your cousins, your direct cousin and first cousin, a near kinsman, right? your brother, your sister, your mom, your dad, your aunt, your uncle, all the stuff that Esau be doing, right? Uh, None of you shall approach to any that is near kin to him, to uncover their nakedness. I am Yahweh. So you can't sleep with your relative, right? Verse 7, the nakedness of thy father or the nakedness of thy mother thou shalt not uncover. She is thy mother, thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. The nakedness of thy father's wife shalt thou not uncover. It is thy father's nakedness, right? So we're gonna can I even notice it? I'm gonna drop this pen. We're gonna come back to some of these verses, right? Because we gotta really deal with this, right? Let's go to Genesis chapter 9, verses 22 through 22, right? And we'll see the creation of the Moabites, right? Genesis chapter 9, 20 through 22. You know what I mean? Let's understand that the law was existed before Moses, right? This is the book of Genesis, chapter 20 through 22, right? Oh, Salakia, this is what Ham did. This is what Ham did, right? Like the progenitor of a heathen nation. And Noah began to be a husbandman, and he planted a vine, Salaki, and he planted a vineyard, and he drank of the wine and was drunken. So Noah was at home. He started drinking, right? He got inebriated, and he was uncovered within his tent. So he was naked inside of his room in his house. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and told his two brethren without. So Ham went in there like a little pervert and saw his dad, and then went and got Shem and Japheth, right? And Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it upon both their shoulders. So Shem and Japheth, they went one to the other, and they walked backwards with their garment, right? With the garment, right? On their shoulders. And went in backward and covered the nakedness of their father. And faces were backward, and they saw not their father's nakedness. So they didn't see their dad's nakedness, right? Now, we saw how it is a sin to your father's nakedness. Doing, he was already committing that, right? Verse 24. And Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done unto him. Said, cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. And he said, blessed be Yahweh power of Shem, of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. Right? So he cursed Canaan for seeing his nakedness, right? Because the law, which was already intact before Moses, was apparently being he was giving him a judgment, right? Let's go to Leviticus 19, 20 through 28. Remember, don't lay with your father, right? These are things that happen, right? 19, Leviticus, we're going to go to Genesis 19, verses 20 through 28, right? And then we're going to go back to Leviticus 18, 5 and 6, right? And there, Salaki, let's go. Genesis chapter 19, verses 20 through 28. Salakia. Oh, here we go. Boom. Genesis chapter 19, verse 20 through 28. Behold now, this city is near to flee unto, and it's a little one. Oh, let me escape thither. Is it not a little one? And my soul shall live. And he said unto him, see, I have accepted. I think I went too far. Oh, oh yeah, Salaki, yeah. This is the we're actually gonna keep going through this chapter. And it came to pass, 20 through 20, right? Oh, Salaki. 20 through 20. Let's go through 17 again. 20 of Genesis chapter 19, verse 20. Behold, now this city is near to flee unto. It is a little one. Oh, let me escape thither. It is not near to flee unto, and it is a little one. Oh, let me escape thither. Is it not a little one? My soul shall live. And he said unto him, see, I have accepted thee concerning this thing, that I will overthrow the city for which thou hast spoken. Haste thee, thither, for I can For I can do not do anything till thou come till I be come thither. Therefore the name of the city is called Zor. Verse 23, the sun was risen up upon the earth when Lot entered into Zor. Then Yahweh rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire from from out of heaven. And he overthrew those cities and all the plain, all the inhabitants of the cities, that which grew up on the ground. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. And Abraham got up early in the morning to the place where he stood before Yahweh, and he looked up toward Sodom and Gomorrah and toward all the land of the plain, and beheld, lo, and the smoke of that country went up in a furnace. Salaki. I think I'm in 30 through 38. I did. Salaki. Let's go to actually, you know what? That makes a good point. Let's go up a couple verses and I'll show you what Yahweh is judging. We'll go to Leviticus chapter 19, verse 1. And there came two angels to Sodom at even, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom. And Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. And he said, Behold now, my lords, turn in. I pray unto thee thy servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet. And ye shall rise up early, and go on your ways. And they said, Nay, but I will up the street all night. And he pressed upon them greatly unto him, and entered into his house. And he made them a feast, and did make unleavened bread. But before down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round, both old and young, all the people from every quarter. And they called unto Lot and said unto him, Where are the men which came into thee this night? Bring them out unto us, that we may know them. Now we know what know them means, right? That means to, do those things that we cannot do. Let's go to, and we'll show you that, right? Leviticus chapter 18 and verse 22, right? Yeah, verse 22, right? And thou shalt not lie with a mankind as with womankind. It is an abomination, right? Neither shalt thou lay with beasts and defile thyself therewith. Neither shall any woman stand before a beast and lie down. It is confusion, right? So we see that the Most High was already going to destroy this place because they wanted to lay with the angels, right? These men that were in there, right? So that we may know them, right? And Lot went out the door unto them and shut the door after him and said, Pray, brethren, do not so wickedly. Behold, now I have two daughters which I have not known man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you. And do ye to them as is good in your eyes, only not these men do nothing, for therefore came they under the shadow of my roof. Right? So they wanted to have relations with him, and he told them, don't do wickedly, because wickedly is breaking the commandments, right? And the commandment clearly states right there that you shall not lie with mankind as thou shalt lie with man, right? Let's go to and then we're going to come back to this chapter, right? Boom. 23 and 2. Let me see. And we're going to come back because there's more to uncover. There's more laws that were broken there. 23 and okay, yeah, we're going to go now. Let's jump down to in the same chapter, Genesis chapter 19 verses 30. Verses 30. Yeah, verses 30 through 38, right? And Lot went up out of Zor and dwelt in the mountains and his with him, for he feared to dwell in Zor, and he dwelt in a cave in his two daughters. The firstborn said unto the younger, Our father is old, and there is not a man on earth to come in unto us after the manner of all earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we seed of our father. and made their father drink wine the night. And the firstborn went in and lay with their father, and perceived not. Night with my father, let us make him lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. Made their father drink wine that night also, and the younger arose and lay with him, and perceived not when she laid down, nor when she arose. Thus were both the daughters of Lot with child by their father. We're gonna hold that right there, and we're gonna go to Leviticus chapter 18 again, right? And we're gonna read verse 7. The nakedness of thy father or the nakedness of thy mother shalt thou not uncover. She is thy mother. Thou shalt Salaki, Salaki. Oh yeah, Salakia, the nakedness of thy father or the nakedness of thy mother shalt thou not uncover. She is thy mother. Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness, right? So that's so they did that, and this is what the product of it, right? Verse 37. And the firstborn bore a son and called his name Moab. Remember that. The same is the father of the Moabites unto this day. And the younger she also bore a son and called his name Ben-Ami. The same is the father of the children of Ammon unto this day, right? So now let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 23, verses 2 and 3, right? A bastard shall not enter into the congregation of Yahweh. Even into the 10th generation shall he not enter the congregation of Yahweh, right? Let's go to Deuteronomy 23 and 2 in the Strongs, right? And we're going to read that word bastard there, right? Deuteronomy 23, Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 2. And the word bastard there, right? A Strong's H 4464, Mamzer, a bastard, child of incest, primary, a bastard, child of incest, illegitimate child, bastard, mixed population, so look, figuratively mixed population, born of a Jewish father and a heathen mother or vice versa. That's actually not true. We know Numbers 1 and 18, right? The mother doesn't have the seed, so a tear is what they want to call it. But we know that it is a child of incest, right? With that in mind, we're going to keep reading. Verse 3. Verse 3, right? An Ammonite or a Moabite shall not enter the congregation of the Lord, even unto their 10th generation shall they not enter into the congregation of the Lord forever, right? And we see that the law is broken, right? Because they're children of incest, right? And there's other reasons behind it, but the Most High knows what He's doing. Let's go to Genesis chapter 38. Or let's go to Deuteronomy 25 and 10. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 25, verses 5 through 10. Right? And we're almost wrapped up here. 25, 5 through 10. The book of Genesis chapter 25, verses 5 through 10. If brethren struggle together, and one of them die and have no child, the wife of the dead shall not marry without unto a stranger. Her husband's brother shall go in unto her, and take her to him to wife, and perform the duty of a husband's brother unto her. And it shall be that the firstborn which she beareth shall succeed the name of his brother which is dead. That is, his name be not put out of Israel, right? So if you have a wife and you die with no children, she has to lay with your brother so that you could produce so you can have a child, right? So you can have this child. Let's go to Genesis chapter 38, and we're going to read the verses 1 through 11, and we're going to see this law before Moses, right? The law before Moses. We're going to keep harping on that, right? The law before Moses. We're going to the book of Genesis chapter 38, verses 1 through 11. And it came to pass that at that time that Judah went down from his brethren and turned into a certain Adullamite, whose name was Hira. And Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite, whose name was Shua, and he took her and went unto her. And she conceived and bore a son, and called his name And she conceived again, and bore a son, and called his name Onan. Now, we're setting a precedent, right? Onan and remember those two brothers, right? Those two siblings. And she yet again conceived and bore a son and called his name Shelah. And he was at Kizeb, and she bore him. And Judah took a wife for his firstborn, whose name was Tamar. And Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of Yahweh, and Yahweh slew him. And Judah said unto Onan, go unto thy brother's wife, and marry her, and raise up a seed to thy brother. Right? So Judah gave a commandment to Onan to keep that same law that's in Deuteronomy, right? And Onan knew the seed should not be his, and it came to pass he went in unto his brother's wife, and that split it on the ground, lest he should have the seed to his brother. And the thing which he did displeased Yahweh, wherefore he slew him also. Then said Judah to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, remain a widow at thy father's house till Shelah my son be grown. For he said, lest peradventure he die also as his brethren did. And Tamar went and dealt in her father's house. Right? So Judah even gave the commandment to his son's wife, like, go be over there until this little guy grows up and he's old enough to take a wife, unless he dies, right? Like his brothers, right? Let's go to Leviticus 11, and we're going to read some of the dietary law, and then we're going to go to Exodus and Leviticus, and then we're going to go into Noah. So let's go into Leviticus, the 11th chapter, and we're going to be there for a couple. We're almost done, too, so bear with me, brethren. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 11, verses 2 and 3 first. Leviticus chapter 11, verse 2 and 3. Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, these are the beasts which ye shall meet among all beasts that are on the earth. Whatsoever part of the hood is cloven-footed, and cheweth the cud among the beasts, shall ye not eat. Right? So he gave us animals that we could eat, animals that are clean, right? Let's go. We're going to read now verses 7 through 12, right? Leviticus 11, 7 through 12. And the swine, though he divideth the hood, be cloven-footed, yet he cheweth not the cud. He is unclean to you. Of their flesh shall ye not eat, and their carcass shall ye not touch. They are unclean to you. So, not only when a pig, you can have a pet pig, but once he dies, you can't touch it. You can't eat it. You can't touch its carcass. It's unclean to you, right? Because every animal serves a purpose, right? Let's keep going. These shall ye eat of all that are in the waters. Whatsoever hath fins and scales in the waters, in the seas and in the rivers, them shall ye eat. And all that have not fins and scales in the seas and in the rivers, of all that move in the waters, and any of the living thing which is in the waters, they shall be an abomination unto you. And they shall even be an abomination unto you. Ye shall not eat their flesh, but ye shall have their carcasses in abomination. Whatsoever hath no fins nor scales in the waters, that shall be an abomination unto you. Right? So the Most High said any animal that's in the water that doesn't have fins or scales, don't eat of its flesh. Right? It's unclean unto you, right? Let's jump down to verses 24 through 28, right? Because we have to solidify some things. Then we're going to get to the law before it was Moses, right? Verse 24. And these ye shall be, and for these shall be unclean. Whosoever touches the carcass of them that shall be unclean until even. And whosoever beareth aught of the carcass of them shall wash their clothes, and be unclean until even. So if you touch pork or the pork, and you're unclean till sundown, right? You're ceremonially unclean or ritually unclean. The carcass of every beast which divideth the hoof, and is not cloven-footed, nor cheweth the cud, are unclean unto you, pork. Or everyone that touches them shall be unclean, and whatsoever goeth upon his paws shall all manner of beasts go upon all four. Those are unclean to you. Whoso touch their carcass shall be unclean until the even. He that beareth the carcass of them shall wash his clothes, and shall be unclean until the even. They are unclean to you, right? We had to emphasize the unclean, right? Let's go to Exodus. So, Oh, that's what I was missing. Let's go to Genesis chapter 6. That's what I didn't write down. I'm like, there's a reason Leviticus 11 was there. Where's Genesis? Let's go to Genesis chapter 7. I want to say 7. I think it's 6. Oh, boom. We're going to go to let's go to Genesis chapter 7 from the top, and we're going to see what, this law before Moses. The book of Genesis chapter 7, verse 1. And Yahweh said unto Noah, Come thou and all thy house into the ark, for thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation. And of every clean beast thou shalt take thee by sevens, the male and his female, and of his beasts that are not clean by two, the male and his female. Of the fowls also that are of the air by sevens, the male and the female, to keep seed alive upon the face of the earth. For yet 7 days, and I will cause it to rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights upon every living substance, and I have made and will I destroy off the face of the earth. Right? We can even go up a chapter, verse 6, chapter 6, verse. We'll start at 17. And behold, even I, do bring the flood of the waters upon the earth, and destroy all flesh wherein is the breath of life from under heaven, and everything that is on earth shall die. But with thee will I establish my covenant, and shall come into the ark, and thee and thy sons, and thy wife, and thy sons' wives with thee. And every living creature of all flesh, two of every sort, shalt thou bring into the ark, to keep them alive with thee. And thou shalt be male and female, of fowls of their kind, of the cattle after their kind, and of every creeping thing of the earth his kind. Two of every sort shall thou keep thee to keep them alive. Right? And then so 14 of the clean animals and 2 per of the unclean animals. But we have clean and unclean animals in Genesis, right? So now let's go to Exodus chapter 12, verse 48. Right? Exodus chapter 12 and verse 48, right? Exodus chapter 12, verse 48. And when a stranger shall sojourn with thee, and will keep the Passover to Yahweh, let all his males be circumcised, then let him come near and keep it. And he shall be as one that is born in the land, for no uncircumcised person shall eat thereof. Right? Now let's go into the book of Leviticus, chapter 12, verse 3. Leviticus chapter 12 was a short chapter, verse 3. And in the 8th day, the flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised. Right? Let's go to Genesis chapter 17, verses 5 through 12. And then we're going to finish off with Genesis 35 and 20 and Leviticus 18, 7 and 8. Right? Let's go to Genesis chapter 17, verses 5 through, where did you go? Genesis 17, 5 through 12, right? Genesis 17, 5 through 12. The book of Genesis, chapter 17, verse 5 through 12. Neither shall thy name be no more Abram, but thy name shall be Abraham, for a father of many nations have I made thee. And I will make thee exceeding fruitful, and I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee. And I will establish my covenant between me and thee and thy seed, after thee and their generation, for an everlasting covenant, to be a God unto thee, and to thy seed after thee. And I will give unto thee and to thy seed after thee, and the land wherein thou art a stranger, and all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession. I will be their God. Right? So he's giving you promises, but there is a stipulation, and we're going to get to it, right? Verse 9. And God said unto Abraham, Thou shalt keep my covenant, therefore, and thou and thy seed after thee in their generations. This is my covenant which ye shall keep between me and you and thy seed after thee. Every man child among you shall be circumcised, and ye shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and ye shall be a token of the covenant betwixt me and you. And he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you, every man child in your generations, he that is born in the house and bought with money of any stranger which is not of thy seed. Right? So the law of circumcision came in with Abraham, but the Most High gave to Moses to write it down and to present it to the children of Israel, right? Let's go finish off with Genesis 35 and 20 and Leviticus 18 for the law, right? Let's go to Genesis chapter 35. Genesis chapter 35, verse 20, right? Genesis chapter 35, verse 20. And Jacob set a pillar upon her grave. Oh, it was enough. Was it 20? Lord in Christ. Oh, Salakia, verse 22. And it came to pass when Israel dwelt in that land that Reuben went and lay with Bilhah his father's concubine, and Israel heard it. Now the sons of Jacob were 12, right? We're going to Genesis 49, and then we're going to go to Leviticus, so we can make sense of what Reuben's judgment is, right? This is the book of Genesis, chapter 49, verse 3. We'll start at verse 1 verse 1 and 2 to let you know that this is in fact a future prophecy, right? Genesis chapter 1, verse 49. And Jacob called unto his son and said, Gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall thee in the last day. Gather yourselves together, and hear ye sons of Jacob. Hearken unto your father Israel. Reuben, thou art my firstborn, my might and the beginning of my strength, thy excellency of dignity and excellence of power. Unstable as water, thou shalt not excel, because thou wentest to thy father's bed, then defiled it. He went up to my couch. Right? So we see what he did. Now let's go to prove that he was breaking the law. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 18, verses 7 through 8, right? We'll finish off right here in Leviticus, right? The book of the law. Chapter 18, verse 7 and 8, right? The nakedness of thy father, or the nakedness of thy father, or the nakedness of thy mother shalt thou not uncover. She is thy mother, thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. Verse 8, the nakedness of thy father's wife shalt thou not uncover. It is thy father's nakedness. So Reuben broke a law in the Torah. But if there be any questions, like we always say in the audio class, you can you can text the number below. It's in the description, or you can you can email us also in the description, or you can leave your questions in the comment section. We're pretty good about checking them the comments on the daily. For the brother on the call and brothers that are coming in, I'll answer all your questions when I stop the recording. But with that, I'd like to give all honor and glory to the Most High God Yahweh in the name of His only begotten Son YHWH, and we say Ashar Kadash and Shalom.